The New York Giants offseason, it's been a little quiet. Your biggest free agency signing was Mark Glowinski, I believe.
Who's a good guard.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
nothing.
I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying when other teams have made, big, high-priced deals, Giants weren't really in a place to do that. But with Brian Daboll now taking over as the head coach, it's all up to what you're going to do in the draft with those top 5 picks.
Well, and they're being patient. This is a team that knows no matter what happens, you're not going to be better than the Cowboys. You're not going to be better than the Eagles this year. But you feel like you have the brain trust. There's no more Dave Gettleman, so all of those things have gone the way of the dodo bird. And now you have Brian Daboll, and you got to retrofit this offense to what he wants to do.
Well, the Sportsocracy post-free agency 7-round mock draft for the New York Giants. Let's get into it. First pick at number 5 overall. Where will they go? It's going to be Ikem Ekwonu, the guard out of NC State.
He's a guard. Except when he's not. And I think with the Giants, he would actually be a right tackle.
I think
that would push Matt Pert to the swing tackle, and that's okay. This leads you to what it is Brian Daboll ultimately wants to do, which is run the ball and have a quarterback that more fits his scheme than Daniel Jones does.
So now you have Andrew Thomas. You'll have Ikem Ekwonu he's on the left side, Ikem Ekwonu on the right side. Then you got Pert and Glowinski as the guards?
Possibly.
Okay.
I when Pert came out of UConn, I thought he could play on the inside. But you'll have John Feliciano, who's comfortable with this scheme, came from Brian Daboll. All of those things are good. Now you've got a line that's formidable. Mm-hmm. I think the weapons here are better than people believe they are. They've just been covered by how bad this line has been. This would give him a pretty – it's a little patchwork because you've got 3 vets on the inside. Mm-hmm. But to me, it would be good enough to see what you actually have in Saquon Barkley. And see what you have in Daniel Jones, excuse me. Yeah. Matt Jones was the coke-addled receiver from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I met him once. I'm going to tell that story one day when I think I got a few beers in me.
Well, I think Daniel Jones is also a reason why people doubt the weapons on this team. They went out and got Kenny Golladay, and that first season wasn't too great.
Well, he's just got injury issues. So the hope is that in this offense, Kenny Golladay can run the more Stephon Diggsy role. Of being more of a possession receiver. I think with that addition of Ekwonu, the offense is going to be fine. I don't think it's great, but I don't think there's anything you're going to do that's going to make it great. Question is, are there things that can give you a little bit rosier of an outlook for the future? We'll get to that in a second.
All right, the second of their 2 top 10 picks comes in at number 7 overall, and with the number 7 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Giants could select KAYVON THIBODEAUX, edge rusher out of Oregon.
Look, the hate on him has gotten to a stupid point. Does he think he is the greatest thing since sliced Wonder Bread? Possibly. Yes. Does he have a bit of an attitude problem? Probably. I think he's a victim of 2 things. One, he's a victim of being the number 1 recruit in the nation that USC was battling over in a Ohio State, slew of other programs wanted. So there's always been this thought that he was going to be a Khalil Mack level impact. Well, he's not that guy. Think about in the NFL, how many edge rushers are actually that good? That unbelievable, you cannot stop them edge.
Yeah, there's only a handful.
4. I would say it's Myles Garrett, the Bosa brothers, and Khalil Mack.
Okay.
Von Miller, he's a little up in age.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's an expectation that KAYVON THIBODEAUX was supposed to be something he's not from very early on. Now, what I will say is he has unbelievable upside. I think if you put him on the other side of Azeez Ojulari, I like him standing up. I've said that the entire time. I think if you put him down in a 4-3, he can do that in nickel, in obvious pass downs. But I think if you do that in your base set, it doesn't necessarily give you the best outcome for it. It just takes something out of his tool belt, and I don't think you have to do that with Wink Martindale coming in there. I look at how this defense is going to run. And I just don't feel like he would be asked to do a lot of the things that got him in trouble. There's a motor issue. Well, he was playing at Oregon. I don't think motor's going to be a problem playing in the NFL. That motor thing drives me crazy. People just get revved up about that. Mm-hmm. No pun intended.
And that happens with a lot of top college
Of course
stars.
it does.
Look
You're
at
playing at a college that you knew definitively you didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of being a national title contender. The good on him is phenomenal. One of the better edge rushers that I've ever evaluated. Those inconsistencies, yeah, they push him down, but him getting to 7 is insane.
Yeah, I think the same thing about Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley had nothing to play for after that national championship run.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that with Stingley to the same extent.
Okay.
I just think there are some technique flaws with him that I don't see with KAYVON THIBODEAUX. I see a freakish athlete in Thibodeaux that maybe has some personality issues. I can deal with that. It's not like I'm asking him to be my quarterback. I'm asking you to go kill quarterbacks.
Right.
I got news for you. There have been several guys over the course of time that were really good edge rushers that you probably didn't want to go have a beer with. He's just another in a line.
All right, in the second round.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. As I'm wearing jet shit for the Giants fans' response to this pick. But when I explain it, I think it'll make more sense.
At number 36 overall, the New York Giants could get their quarterback of the future. Desmond Ridder, quarterback out of Cincinnati.
Who does Desmond Ridder remind you of?
Daniel Jones?
No.
I don't know. Where are you going?
Josh Allen.
Really?
He's a big, athletic, physical kid with some accuracy issues.
Okay. Is his arm that big, though?
It's not as big as Josh Allen's, but it's fine.
Okay.
I know there are teams that are in love with Desmond Ridder. I cannot for the life of me figure out who they are. And I look at Brian Daboll, and all right, here's where you get a little, next level, next gen with Daniel Jones. How good does he have to be the quarterback of the future?
Oh, he has to be great.
Does he have that in him?
No.
I think the Giants know that. Because here's the problem. When you get to the fifth-year option and into the are we going to extend you, now you're going to get expensive. If you're starting quarterback in the NFL, base level pays $20 million. And I understand they probably like Daniel Jones and they don't want to admit the boo-boo. You're not going to pay him $20 million, and I think everybody in the building knows that. So you bring in a Desmond Ridder, and in the second round, there's very little risk. I am not as wild about him as other people are, but now if you put him with Brian Daboll, I would like him drastically more. You take away the risk with him being a second-round pick. Now you have two possible outcomes. You can continue to say all the things about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones would be the week 1 starter. Desmond Ridder should not be a starter in the NFL week 1 of next year. But you build yourself some leeway. If Daniel Jones comes in and through 6 weeks, he is just an absolute fucking dumpster fire. Gone.
Yeah.
Back up. We'll deal with it at the end of the year. You got Desmond Ridder. That incites the fan base because there are a lot of people who really like him. And he fits into this Daboll system quite nicely. Then you can prop him up for 11 weeks. You're going to have several games against the Commanders, the Eagles. That schedule's not crazy daunting. And so you can prop him up. And you give him the Justin Fields treatment. If he comes in on the backside, you'll see good, you'll see bad. And a year from now, the fan base will remember the good and not the bad, and they will be excited, and you'll have money, and all of the things will be hunky-dunky, and you can at least excite the fan base. I don't think Desmond Ridder's a great quarterback, but he kind of checks all the boxes that you want. Really experienced, won a ton of games in college. I think he can be a serviceable starter in the NFL. I don't think he's ever going to be a Pro Bowler, but I look at the way things fit with the Giants and fit with Daboll. I think this is the perfect fit for him.
Yeah. But, I mean, his ceiling on his career is what? Like a Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, journeyman kind of a spot starter quarterback?
No, I think he's got a better deep ball arm than that.
Okay.
The problem both of the guys you just said had, they couldn't push the ball down the field. They laid on their athleticism too much. Well, first of all, neither one of them were as athletic as Desmond Ridder. Mariota's more straight line, fast, but he's really thin. So that served to be a problem. They didn't have the deep ball arm where they could hurt you for trying to keep them from doing what it was they wanted to do. I think Desmond Ridder can do that. And be really honest with yourself, the weapons with the Giants are better than the other two that you just said ever had. Oh,
I agree.
I think those two things work in his favor. I don't like Desmond Ridder in many places. If he wound up in Carolina, Seacrest out. Coach that's got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel, I'm out. I do not want you doing that. Brian Daboll's probably the safest coach in this league. And he fits what he wants to do.
All right, in the third round, 2 picks in the third round for the New York Giants. First one at 67th overall, Brian Asamoah, linebacker out of Oklahoma.
This is the coach on the field that you're looking for. I love this kid's mental ability. The thing that scares me is he's a little small, and I'm not sure how he's ever going to fit. If you play a 4-3, I'm not sure how he fits into any of those stereotypical roles. Now, that being said, I have seen teams run hybrid-y kind of offenses or defenses where you can protect somebody that's this small. One of the great ways to protect somebody that's small, put KAYVON Thibodeaux and Azeez Ojulari on the outside of him. Then he can just be rangy and allows him to do the things that he does. I wish he had run a little faster, but he plays faster than he ran. And I think he would be a long-term starter. And this can be the guy that calls the plays and does all of the things that you expect him to do. And I know what somebody is going to say, but what about Blake Martinez? What about him? I actually think they play nicely together.
Okay. In the third round, at the second pick in the third round, 81st overall, Kirby Joseph, safety from Illinois.
This is one of my favorite players in this draft. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see how Lovie Smith is not going to find a way to end up with him. But in this exercise, he wound up with the Giants. He is a very good, very rangy safety. I think he got lost a little bit at Illinois because they were so bad. That team was horrid. And I'm going to level. He had one great, fantastic season. And he was a lockdown safety. Really good in coverage. One of the better strong safeties in coverage that you'll ever see. And where I think that fits nicely with the Giants is that you put him next to Xavier McKinney, and that allows McKinney to do the things he does so well. They pair nicely together because I feel like Kirby Joseph can play in the box. He can play too high. He can do whatever you ask him to do. And you think about the way the Ravens defenses have worked forever. They've always had I'm trying to think of a way to quantify this. A safety that could do damn near everything. Earl Thomas did it for a while. Clark did it last year. They always have that guy. I think Kirby Joseph can be that guy next to Xavier McKinney, which allows him to be the rangy, do-everything safety.
In the fourth round, 112 overall, New York Giants select Luke Godecki, guard out of Central Michigan.
Our friend and Giants fan, Brian Haynes, likes to call these guys hog-mollies. Luke Godecki is a huge person, but he's also freakishly athletic for as big as he is. I think people are going to see he ran a 5.2 at the combine and go, well, he's just lead-footed. No, he's not. No, he's not. He may not be able to run in a straight line, but he is amply athletic to get out in space. I think he starts as a guard. I think that's where he begins in the NFL. Projects to probably play tackle at some point. I would not be stunned if he was the starting left guard week one. If this went this way and they got Godecki here at, 112?
Mm-hmm.
I would not be shocked if he was the starter on this team in between Andrew Thomas and John Feliciano. Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
2 picks in the fifth round for the Giants. 147th overall is the first. And they'll take a corner out of Alabama, Jalen Armour Davis.
I am higher on this kid than many are. He was on the Chase Claypool team. And I often say Alabama players are what they are when they leave Nick Saban. I'm not sure Jalen Armour Davis is. Didn't play that much. Played less than 750 snaps across his career at Alabama. He was overshadowed by Josh Jobe. And I look at the two going into the NFL, and I would rather have Armour Davis than Jobe, and it's not even close. Josh Jobe is who he's going to be. I think there's a lot to be had with Jalen Armour Davis. He's very fluid, and that's something I look for in corners. There are some people that their brain and their feet are just never going to line up. That's not the problem with this kid. The problem with this kid is that, he's not as fast necessarily as you want him to be. He's not as freakishly athletic as you want him to be. But he's got really good technique. You're going to have to know he has limitations, which is why you're getting him at the 147th pick. But I think the raw skill is higher with him than it is the vast majority of corners in this class.
At 173 overall, still in the 5th round here for the Giants, Charleston Rambo, wide receiver out of Miami.
I like this kid a lot. I just really, really wish he would eat a cheeseburger. And by a cheeseburger, I mean like 100 of them.
Pretty rail thin.
He's super skinny, and he's not as tall as, he's 6'1", $180. I think he's going to struggle with press forever. Now, that being said, he's a really good deep ball receiver. He's a really good 50-50 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, this is a projection. You're taking a guy this late. You're not expecting him to be Antonio Brown. You're looking for raw ability. And Charleston Rambo has raw ability. I saw him do it in 2 different places.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of instability with quarterbacks with him, which I think has kind of stunted his development. Because if you told me 2 years ago that you would be able to get him at pick 173, I would have said you're out of your mind.
Right.
Because it just, so long as he stays on the trajectory. Well, then he transfers and there's quarterback issues. There's a raw here. And year 1's probably a redshirt year. But I think year 2 or 3, you could have a usable 4th receiver here.
And then in the 6th round, last pick of the draft for the Giants, comes at 182nd. Dawson Deaton, center from Texas Tech.
What's going to knock him is the scheme he played in. Because he played in one of those gimmicky-ass spread college offenses. I know somebody out there is going to say, well, the NFL's going to the spread. Not like this. This is Cliff Kingsbury and nobody else. Because I've never seen him be a downhill run blocker. Good in pass pro. I think he'll be a serviceable center in the NFL immediately in pass protection. The problem is that I think if you asked him quickly to be a starting center, he's going to have a great big deficiency, and teams that are really strong in the interior are going to just abuse him. Now, if you're patient with him, John Feliciano is not a long-term solution at center. He's not. He's somebody that Brian Daboll is comfortable with. Somebody that understands the system, understands how to play this position in this league, and somebody that he would lean on. Well, that tells me that they're probably going to draft somebody that's a little raw to learn from him, and that's exactly what Deaton would be.
And the New York Giants hitting what I believe would be solid home runs with their top picks of this draft at number 5 overall with Ike Mekwano and number 7 overall with KAYVON THIBODEAUX. I'm not on the KAYVON THIBODEAUX hate bandwagon.
No, and I don't think anybody should be. I think it's gotten to a stupid point, and somebody's going to have to throw a wrench into it, and it could very well be the New York Giants.
And then you would take a risk in the 2nd round with the quarterback of Desmond Ridder, but there again, you took quite the risk in the 1st round 4 years ago with Daniel Jones. So it's a risk worth taking.
Absolutely, it's a risk worth taking. And whether you like these picks, you hate these picks, you have a mock draft and you think I'm a big man bun ginger dipshit, chuck those out in the comments. I respond to them every day. I have been blown away at how good some of these mocks are, how deep people are getting in asking questions. We love that, and please continue to do that. We will have 2 more mock drafts. There will be the A+ best case scenario draft, no trades, that will come out next week. Each individual team just like these. And then we will have the final one that I put out the week of the 2022 NFL draft that is with trades and all the shit, exactly how I think the draft will go.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get all of our team-by-team content. And don't forget to join us live every weekday afternoon at 3 right here in the Ingles studio. Always brought to you by Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. See you next time.